Okay, everybody. Now, in this video, we're going to go over blind contour line drawing. Blind contour line drawings are simply a drawing that you do by looking at what you're trying to draw and you're not looking at the paper. It sounds weird. It is really awkward to do. It is hard to get the hang of. Like, our inclination is to want to look at what we are trying to draw, as far as like looking at the piece of paper. Okay? So this is an example of a blind contour line drawing that I did of my hand. So you can see that things are out of place, it's really shaky, but, and things aren't necessarily the right size, but what you're looking for in a blind contour line drawing is not necessarily accuracy and a really clean finished drawing when you get done. This is an exercise in learning how to see. Okay, learning how to be observant of the things that we are trying to draw. And drawing is all about observation. When you're doing a drawing, you should be looking at the thing that you're trying to draw probably 60% of the time, and the other 40% you're looking at the piece of paper. So this is just an exercise in helping you to learn to be constantly looking at the thing you're trying to draw. Most of the time what people do is say, okay, I'm going to draw this skull. So they look at it, and then they look at their paper, and they might look at it again, but then they're going to look at their paper, and then they're just going to draw. And they're not going to, so they're like, oh, I know what a skull looks like. I don't need to look at it anymore. Your brain tells you that. Your brain is lying to you, okay? So you want to make sure that you're continually looking at this because it's going to help you to record information, all right? If you were in Art 1 last semester, we didn't quite get to this, so this is going to be your introduction into blind contour line drawing and observational drawing in general. So pay attention. If you were in Art 1 already and we did go over this, this is going to be review. So this is going to be just for your information. It is part of this week's assignment that you're going to have to do a few of these. So make sure you're going to do that. Anyway, let me put this into the thing here so it holds it, because it's hard for me to hold the camera and draw at the same time. I gotta adjust my, here, there you go. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Now, so blind contour line drawing. So here's one of a hand. I'm gonna do the skull here in a minute as my example, as my demonstration. Here's a self-portrait blind contour line drawing I did a couple years ago. And you can see, like, the eyes aren't where they're supposed to be. But, I was looking at, like, those finer details, and that's the stuff you're recording. So I'm looking for accuracy in places. The overall arrangement and where things are, like, falling in isn't necessarily what I'm going to be looking for. If done properly, these should all look a lot like mine do. Right? I'm going to be looking at, like, if you're recording, like, say you're drawing your hand, like, so here's my hand, and then there's the drawing. I'm going to be looking at, like, specific things like this slight curve around the end of the finger, or like these lines where the joints come together, okay? Like you can see here where I started to record that, where that knuckle is, and if you look, you can kind of see those same marks moving through there. You want to try to do this in a continuous line. That doesn't mean you absolutely have to, but that's best practice, okay? So I'm going to try to keep this short, but I'm already almost 4 minutes in, so we'll see if we can keep to that. Let's see. So what you want to do is, just set your thing off to the side so that, you can look at it. If it helps, turn away from your paper. The key here is not to look at the paper. If you turn in a drawing and everything's where it should be and everything's the proper size, I'm going to be like, well, they were obviously looking at their paper. Like I said, blind contour lines are very specific in that, like, if they're done properly, everybody should kind of look the same. So what you want to do, I'm going to be using an ink pen. That's just what I've got laying here, but you all probably want to use pencil for this. If you want to use ink for the blind contour lines, that's fine. But for the actual contour line drawing for the project, I definitely want that done in pencil. So what we want to do is we just want to pick a place to start. Now on this skull, I'm going to start like around like the eye socket. So, and what I want to do is just start drawing. And the key here is to try to make your hand and your eye move at the same speed. So as your eye moves around, for instance here with the contour of the eye socket, I'm just trying to record the angles and the curves as I get to them. If I did double back, I'm not going to pick my pen up, and then I'm just going to move on to the next thing. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to start to move into the sutures around the nose. I'm going to start to draw that bit. I have not done this in a while, so I'm a little rusty myself, so hopefully this works out okay. The more of these you do, the better they get. So, you know, if you do the first one and it's an absolute disaster, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Just try to come back in and do it again. So just take your time, work your way through it. And you just move from one thing to the next. And notice I'm not just going through and starting with the outline of the object. I'm actually getting into the interior details. Because if I can do that, all that stuff that's closer together, then as I'm, you know, finishing the drawing out, like I've got more reference points to like finish the other bits. Okay? So from here, I can come up, there's a bit of I can see a bit of the brow structure on the bone here. This isn't a real skull, by the way. It's a prop. That I got. It would be kind of strange to have a real one. Now, once I work my way all the way around to the top of the skull, then I can come up here and start to like actually do like the outline for the top. So I'm working my way to it, and then as I get to something else, I might go off in a different direction. So I'm drawing the suture right now at the top of the skull, and that's going to bring me back down that, and then I can work my way back around to the back side again. And believe it or not, folks, I am not looking at the drawing. I really don't know what it looks like at this point. I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm only looking at the skull, and I'm probably going a bit fast. I'm trying to do this a little bit more quickly than I should, but that's okay, because I'm just trying to expedite this so that you all can get on to work. So here's another suture. I'm gonna get in and start doing like the teeth. When you're drawing teeth, you know, for a line drawing, yeah, you want to do the outline of them and kind of draw them out. If you're drawing them in shading, you want to go in and probably not even try to draw the teeth. You try to draw the shadows between the teeth, and then the teeth will come out. You know, they'll show up in the drawing because you're just drawing that negative space around them. Negative space is important. You know, if you can get the negative space, and the negative space is the empty space, the space where there isn't anything, you know, for my hand, for instance, like, so my hand is the positive space, and the negative space is the space between the fingers and around the hand. So that shape is just as important as like the shape of a finger. So like if I can get this shape right, then I know that I can get these shapes right. So you kind of always, you know, everything is connected, and you want to make sure you're doing that. So if you do stop, just kind of make a note of where you stop and then get back into it. So I know I stopped right here, and I have looked at it at this point. So, but I'm not looking at it while I'm drawing. If you do, look, it's hard to not look. I guarantee you're going to want to look. So just stop drawing if you look. Don't worry about it if like something's out of place. I want you to do at least 3 of these of your still life that you're going to set up. But if you feel like you need to do more, do more. And I think just in the interest of time, I'm not going to try to finish this entire thing in this one sitting because they do take a bit of time. So, but let's just see if we can get a full round, kind of get everything kind of laid down. So I went off the page. So I'm gonna just come back up here and start at this line where I stopped and go from there. And that really, I shouldn't do that, but just in the interest of time, I'm going to do that this time. So,
good afternoon, everyone.
Well, there's Mr. Forrester. I knew it had to be that he would interrupt my video, but hopefully y'all won't get too messed up by it, okay? All right, so there's my blind contour line drawing. Forgive the interruption of the intercom. There's not much I can do about that, and I'm not gonna refilm this thing again. This is already the second time I've tried to do it. So here it is, and mine's pretty well together. That doesn't mean they're always that way. That just means like I was doing it, and I really wasn't necessarily following the rules the way I should be. I wasn't looking, but I also was moving too fast, and I had to stop and start several times. Really, you want to try to go from start to finish, work your way around the whole thing, get through, do all the details as you move through it, and then it's done. So just take your time, folks. You know, one of these probably should take, you know, depending on the...
Ms. Coffey and Mr. Clayton, student doctors, can be released at this time. Thank you.
Depending on the complexity of your subject, in this case your still lifes, you know, it's going to take several minutes. If you're making your eye and your hand move together, and that is key, all right? And this is just helping us to learn how to look at what we're trying to draw, okay? I'll see y'all in the next video.